Hey everyone, welcome to the Bio Breakthroughs podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is Jason Bock, the CEO at CTMC. Jason, how are you today?
I'm great, Jared. Thanks for having me on.
Excited to have you. Let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about your background and the path to founding CTMC.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting one. So I had 20 years experience in biotech and biopharma, building groups that together developed novel therapeutics, always complex biologics, bringing those into the clinic, and then fortunate enough to work on multiple products that made it through to global commercialization. So I had this 20-year experience with bringing these products to patients that required a focus on manufacturing. At the same time, in the cell therapy field, there were the initial CAR Ts were approved, commercially approved, and yet it was clear that manufacturing challenges were going to be at the heart of those. And so, and then another coincidence that some friends of friends from MD Anderson got in touch with me and said, we're really interested in doing something big in cell therapy, but manufacturing is really hard. Could we do something very innovative and creative together? And so moved my family down from the East Coast to Houston, joined MD Anderson, founded a new group there with the intent of being able to take MD Anderson invented cell therapies, industrialize them, and then bring them into the MD Anderson clinic to see how well they worked. That idea germinated, grew, and last year we spun out an 80-person group from MD Anderson as a joint venture with National Resilience, which is a very ambitious company looking to reimagine complex manufacturing. And so together, this joint venture that has a manufacturing facility, has development capabilities, almost operates like a biotech now, is working both with MD Anderson researchers as well as biotech companies to bring novel cell therapies into the clinic in an industrial way and have a path towards commercialization.
Super interesting. And talk me through. Obviously, there's the great background, by the way, and thank you for sharing. So you have this unique partnership with MD Anderson and the journey where it's taken you to this point. Talk us through some of the exciting opportunities you have at CTMC today.
So I think foundationally, cell therapies are transformative. I think we're just scratching the surface of what cell therapies can do in oncology, and already they're a revolution, and we're just getting started. So over the next 5, 10, 15 years, it's going to change the way medicine is practiced because unlike all other modalities, especially cell and gene therapy, are single dose with potentially curative treatments. So you can give a patient who has cancer a treatment that may be the last cancer treatment they ever get. And then they're not a cancer patient anymore. They're a person. And so that underlies, what we're trying to do. We said this is a transformation that's going on, but there's multiple big challenges. One is, how do you make these are the most complicated therapeutics we've ever tried to make, we being humanity, and they have a different kind of supply chain that relates to the patient, because what we do with these, we call them autologous cell therapies, is we take a patient's own cells, their own immune cells, we bring those into the manufacturing facility, we engineer them, expand them, and then reinfuse those to the same patient. So not only is it personalized, but the starting material starts with the patient. And so we said we need to have a focus on manufacturing and an adjacency to patients. And so that was the conceptual underpinning of why we decided to form this very novel partnership with MD Anderson, connected to patients, with resilience, with a focus on manufacturing technology and commercializing complex biologics.
And ultimately, your mission is to end cancer, right? That is the big focus across everything that you're doing. What are what would you say some of the blockers that still exist to that are?
Ending cancer is such a powerful mission, isn't it? It just like sums it all up of like, we're just here to end cancer. That's MD Anderson's mission statement, and we, adopt that. Um, so cell therapies are going to be one uh, critical enabler for us to achieve that mission. The blockers are that it takes time to take a novel therapy, do all the work you need to show the FDA that it's safe, bring it into patients, and understand if it works. And so, and not only time, but just complexity of that. It's for cell therapies, it's not as well worn a road as it is for, say, small molecule pills or antibodies, which we've, as an industry, have been doing now for multiple decades, and that's no longer really an impediment. But for cell therapies, especially where the supply chain begins with the patient, it's very complicated to start up these clinical trials and enroll, find the right patients, figure out whether the product works. And so CTMC, by bringing together the complex manufacturing component connected with the clinical component, enables novel discoveries to reach patients faster. And then importantly, do so in an industrial way where if we see something that is, curing cancer, that we have a direct path to commercialize that, and we don't have to take steps backwards at that stage.
And one of the things I always like to ask Jason every time we have someone on is kind of to paint a picture of the future through your lens. So, what does the future of CTMC look like? And then also let's take it outside of CTMC, the industry as well.
So I would start with the industry as a whole, and the industry being almost healthcare delivery. I mean, as we move from just sustaining patients to, trying to cure patients, that's going to transform how we deliver healthcare. And that in the big picture, that's what I'm so excited about, because it's great. It's amazing what's been achieved in cancer care over the last 30 years. But so much of it is just pushing the bar out by 3 months, by 6 months, by 9 months, by a year, by 2 years. That's great. But there's a step change when you move from, hey, your cancer hasn't progressed. Progression-free survival is the term that we use a lot. Okay, cancer hasn't progressed, but each day you're still living with cancer. You're still a cancer patient. Every day you wake up and like every time you go to the doctor thinking, okay, I'm, fingers crossed that the scan comes back without any progression. But if we can move that, I think the exciting part is moving that from, um, you know, cancer patients surviving longer to cancer patients being cured. A quick story, if I could, that is informative. Emily Whitehead, who's quite fairly well known now, but she was 6 years old when she was diagnosed with a form of childhood leukemia. Unfortunately, she failed all available therapies at the time, and her parents were told to take her home, that there was nothing else they could do, and gave her the number for hospice. Her parents were, very had a lot of faith and said, "We're going to find a different way." They found some doctors at Penn and signed her up for a brand new clinical trial. She was the first patient given CAR T cells, and she had a lot of side effects. But 6 weeks later, when she came back for her scan, her body, which had previously been riddled with cancer, was cancer free. That was 12 years ago. That was the last cancer treatment that Emily got. And this past fall, she applied to colleges. And this fall, she's going to be attending Penn as an undergraduate, not as a cancer patient attending college, just as a young girl with her whole life ahead of her. And so, I know we spent a little bit of time on that, but I, I think it's underappreciated, the revolution going on in oncology treatment that cell therapies can enable. Now, it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of challenges we have to overcome on the manufacturing, the cost, and the clinical delivery of these. But that's what CTMC is meant to enable, making it an easier path for innovative treatments to reach patients so that we can try more shots on goal, so we can improve the technology, so we can reduce the cycle time of what it takes from, hey, I've got a great idea that seems like it works in the lab, to getting 10, 15, 25 patients of clinical data and seeing how well it works in patients.
And Jason, what's the best way for people that want to learn more about CTMC? Where should they be going? Are there any additional resources they should be checking out to continue to hear more about your story and what you're building?
Sure. We have a nice website, www.ctmc.com. And there you can reach out and contact us. Happy to discuss. This is this is the first company I founded. Super excited about it. I think the team is amazing that we've pulled together. So we're happy to share our story. I think it's a very differentiated organization that, for the right partners, biotech companies that have great products with good preclinical data, but are looking at that like challenge. Lots of times it's called like a valley of death, trying to move something from research stage into the clinic. So a lot of different skill sets, a lot of different challenges associated with that. We're really good at it. In the first 6 months of the joint venture, we filed 3 INDs, 2 with industry partners, 1 with MD Anderson. 3 INDs in 6 months is like rocket pace. So we love doing this stuff. We're quite good at it. We understand what FDA needs to see in a cell therapy to ensure that it's safe. And with the connection with MD Anderson, giving that product the best chance to reach its full potential.
Well, Jason, I hope we can have you come back on and get you on a panel with some others in the space, and we can even dive deeper. But I really appreciate you coming on the show today to give us an overview of the company, your mission, and to tell us great stories like you did. Um, Again, thank you so much, and can't wait to have you on again to dive even deeper.
Thanks, Jared. I'd really appreciate that opportunity.